I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like,
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. The championship games are over. Now we head on to the Super Bowl. But this is not a preview of the Super Bowl. We have another week, so we're going to do that next week. But we're going to review the championship games, and there were some calls, and I have a question once again, and then we're going to talk about Brady. Speaking of Brady, it's the man that adores Brady, Austin.
Yeah, Brady is one of my favorite players, even though I'm a Packers fan. And, I mean, I was shocked. But we'll talk about that later. But the person who's compared a lot to Brady, Joe Burrow, did end up losing this game. And it was a really close game. And I think, I know a lot of people are talking about, are the Bills-Chiefs going to be the new Brady Manning, but I think it's more likely that it's a Bengals Chiefs.
Yeah, I would agree. Oh, sorry. What did you say? Denver?
No, you're good.
Yeah, I would agree. It's Bengals Chiefs. I thought it was going to be Bills Chiefs, but the only really good one was the AFC divisional one. But overall, like, there have just been great matchups between the Bengals and Chiefs. This one, I didn't like the ending just because of the personal foul, even though I know it was called.
They have to call the foul. They have the last call. They have to call it. I'm not against that. Well, the refs were a little bit suspect throughout the day. I'm not going to get mad at them for calling a call they have to call. That is in the rule book. You have to call it. I'm mad that it was decided by a penalty, but you can't just not call that.
Yeah, I agree. So it leaves like a bitter taste, but overall it was close and really good. And it was better than the first game, but sticking on this game, I have two. We shortened it to top three performances. My number one performance, I'm cheating. It's Chiefs defense.
Okay, I did not go that out there, but for me, my number three was Marquez Valdes-Scantling. 116 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he looked like his Packer self sometimes, and he has a quarterback that's very, just like Aaron Rodgers was last year. Mahomes has been his whole career just a gunslinger, and then he does well in a offense that is up tempo and making plays, and he made a lot of them.
Yeah, and that's why he's on my number two. Chiefs one was number one because I think while Mahomes played great, and he did great for the offense, and the offense wouldn't have done anything without him, or it'd be tougher. But to me, the defense really stood up, and they made two key interceptions. I don't really blame Burrow for either interception. To me, I'm like, those are just two great plays by the defense.
One of them was a punt, practically speaking,
Yeah.
and a crazy one. And then the other one I sort of do blame on Burrow, but still, neither pick was horrible. And my second player of the week, or best performance, was Chris Jones. He was manhandling the O-line. And I know every time the Bengals win a game with this O-line, they're changing the league. They don't need a good O-line. And then there's a game like this, and you're like, nope, they need a good O-line. It almost makes you think, what if they could have traded a lot of their future picks to trade up in that draft and ended up taking Sewell and Chase in the same draft? What would have happened if they could have made a trade up and done that? But they need to address their O-line if they're going to become a consistent championship contender. Because I'm telling you right now, it is impossible to stay healthy if you keep on getting hit. Like, yes, you can make all these amazing plays. Yes, they don't need it to make the playoffs as long as Burrow stays healthy. But Brady was sacked a lot in his younger years and never got hurt, and then eventually he tore his ACL. And I know that happened to Burrow his rookie season. There's no guarantees going forward. It's something that needs to be addressed. And they're that away from being the best team in the AFC and probably the best team in the league.
Yeah, I would agree. I think because I've been
If you
thinking about him.
sorry to interrupt, but I just
Yeah,
want
no,
to ask this question.
We're probably about to say the same thing.
If the Eagles' O-line was given to the Bengals and they were flipped, the Bengals would never lose. How could you stop Burrow, who already under pressure makes all these incredible throws, and the Eagles wouldn't have even made the playoffs? Because I think the main reason, what is the main thing for them, is their O-line. Because it's hard to run the ball when you don't have a good O-line. It's hard for a lot of stuff when you don't have a good O-line, and somehow Burrow gets it done.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a good point. Yeah, it really sets up the run game, sets everything up. But with the Bengals, even if you don't give Burrow the best line, if you just give him an average line and they're all healthy, I would probably say like there'd probably be an MVP caliber season from Burrow. Or if they fix their line, because that's their biggest weakness. Even though they have been able to overcome that weakness, the Chiefs did really well in upgrading their pass rush this offseason, and defense overall, and they were able to take advantage of that weakness with the Bengals. So, do you agree if Burrow gets a solid line? I probably think he'd be a favorite to win MVP, and he'd put MVP like he's already great now, but just overall, I think a good line would make it much better.
I don't. Yes, he could win MVP, but part of the problem and part of the reason why I think Brady didn't win it last year, and a part of the reason why Brady had a lot of good seasons, he could have won it more than 3 times. Like we get confused. Yes, he won it 3 times. Yes, that's a lot, but Peyton won it 5 times, and there were a lot of years there where I thought Brady could have won it and didn't. But I think part of the reason he doesn't, there's 2 reasons. One, he's ultra consistent, so it's not like any year is too surprising, and 2, he doesn't lobby for himself. When they're like, "Oh, who should be MVP?" Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, anyone else is going to say, "Yeah, I think I'm the best player in the league," or they're even their teammates. But they're like, now with the Bengals and how the system and how Burrow is mentally, he's just like Brady. He's going to be like, "I don't really care. I mean, I just care about winning the game." Yes, he could win an MVP. Yes, Burrow will win an MVP. You're right. If he gets a good O-line, he should be an MVP contender. But part of the reason why I think he'll win less than he probably should is because he doesn't lobby for himself.
Yeah, that's a good point. And overall, like with the interception on the punt, it just to me, I think he was like throwing it up like wide receiver go make a play, which, like he did with Chase on that 4th down.
Yep, where he hit up. Oh, there's also the one where he hit him on the head.
Oh yes, he did hit him in the head, and then there was one where he threw to Higgins, where he's like, "Higgins, go make a play," and Higgins got the touchdown.
Yeah, and that's the trust. You have to have trust in your wide receivers, and that's the thing that Burrow and Brady have a lot of. Because Brady, a lot of those years, didn't have the best wide receivers, and it's at some point when the game is close, you got to just say, "Go make a play," and make a perfect throw, which a lot of the time he did, especially to Hayden Hurst on that in the end zone. He basically hit him in the hands while he was falling down. Do you remember the play I'm talking about on the sideline?
I remember.
It was in the end zone, but he made an almost perfect throw there. And if you play too timid, you'll never win a game, or at least you won't win a championship. You can't play timid. At some point, you just got to say, "Go make a play."
And I think you need like the right playmakers to have that like type of confidence because with Mahomes, he doesn't really have the wide receivers, but he has Kelsey. Kelsey's a guy where you can go, hey,
Yeah,
I'm ready
if
to play.
he's like, I need to make a play, this is getting called for Kelsey. And I don't care if he's triple teamed, I'm throwing this ball to Kelsey. Because every quarterback has that guy that when it all hits the fan, where am I going? And if you have that guy, you have a chance.
Yes, I would agree. And then, yeah, so I thought it was really good, really tough. Now the thing is, you only have a few more years, and now Burrow's up for the extension, which I think you give it to him now just so you like it won't go higher.
I may be wrong, but I think Burrow's the next Brady. And I don't think no matter how long you wait, it goes higher. I don't. Brady intentionally, even though he's the best quarterback in the league for a lot of years, decided I'd rather win a Super Bowl. At some point, 300 million versus 500 million, I don't really care the difference. Brady probably could have made 600, 700 million in his NFL career. I'm not even talking advertisements because he played for so long, but he only made 333 over his 23-year career. So
Well, yeah, I think
that's only 14.5 million, by the way. Well, I say only. That's a whole lot of money. But I don't think Burrows goes up to the level of Dak or Mahomes. I could be
really?
wrong.
I think it's definitely above Dax. I
No.
don't think it
No, my
tops
point is
Mahomes.
it should be, but Burrow's going to say, don't put it up that high. I want to win a ring. There's no way you can keep Higgins and Chase and get a good O line if you're getting paid $50 million. That's the whole talk about why did Chiefs have to win right now, and why I don't believe Mahomes will even touch Brady or even sniff Brady's 7 Super Bowls is that contract. How are you going to put a good team together?
I
You have
have an
you
answer.
have an answer?
So this is what they did. So they tried to get Kelsey. No, they have Kelsey on a nice deal, and Kelsey's not expensive as Tyreek Hill was going to be. So what they traded Hill, and what did they do this offseason? They hit on most of their draft picks
Well, here's the
on
issue.
defense.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue. His contract hasn't hit in yet. I think is it next year that it hits in?
I think it's next year, but to me, it puts a lot of pressure on the front office. Like you can't mess up big. Like you can't miss on a first round pick. You have to hit on those picks. And that's how you do it. So then you can try to make side deals, but it's mostly on draft picks. And
Oh,
they kind of,
it's not next year. Next year. Oh, it doesn't even. Wait.
I don't think
Base
it really
salary.
balloons.
Wait. I'm confused. He restructured it. So his cap hit this year is 46, but his base salary is 5.5
So
plus
it's
a $2
probably
million.
incentives.
Oh, yearly cash? Okay, that's probably where I need to look. Okay, so this year it's 40, I guess. But I'm confused because his base is 5.5 and only a $2 million signing bonus.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure, but it's like I'm looking at this list, but it doesn't have Dak on here. So 40 million is six at Kirk Cousins. This
This year
can't
is
be
30. This year is 30, I think.
for Mahomes. Okay,
For
it's
Holmes.
I
Next
think,
year it goes up to 40.
and that's still not bad because the highest one right now, this website says like Matthew Stafford at 60. I don't think Burrow goes that high, but I think he's around
But no, but those
45
are
to
that's
50.
it's not really 60 though. And the reason why I say it's not really 60 is because of how NFL contracts are arranged. You can do like what the Bucks did with Brady and kind of dead cap it till next year. But you can't do that with Mahomes because he's here for 9 more years. You get what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
10 more years.
so
So if you were to dead cap Mahomes, you're only making it harder for yourself next year to win a ring. And with Mahomes, just like Burrow, every year that Mahomes is in the league, he's a contender. Or what's your championship window? Just like Burrow said,
yeah,
his entire time in the league.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at cap it. Maybe I'm on the right thing. But to me, if Burrow goes short term, but like I understand why 10 years and it like goes up a little bit just because you kind of see what I'm thinking. Like the contract that hasn't yet happened is Lamar Jackson. The next one, Murray already got his deal. Who's another quarterback? Jackson's one. Derek Carr's still on a contract. It's just like to me, every year continues to go up. So in 3 years, that deal won't be as bad compared to what the market is for quarterbacks. But to me, it puts pressure. Like you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, and I don't know if they can keep Higgins because I think you go with Chase, which means you only have one more year of Higgins.
I don't think you can go without both. I think a big reason why Chase is not getting double teamed every possession is because of Higgins. Because if you're running a cover one, you can't decide, hey, shadow Chase, because then Higgins will go for 100 yards, just like he did in the Super Bowl.
That's true. So my counter would be you try to draft a wide receiver that doesn't equal Higgins, but will help offset it. Because I think Burrow's contract yearly is probably going to be a lot.
I would rather get rid of Mixon. Mixon is the odd man out, in my opinion.
Mixon, I would also agree. Like you probably get rid of Mixon because
just P Ryan is better.
P Ryan, I believe, is a free agent.
I think they should re-sign him and then probably trade Mixon or something because I'm not a big Mixon guy. I think Samaje Perine a better player.
How old? Oh, he's 27.
Mixon.
I would just say draft a running back.
Perine will be a cheaper deal too. They won't be paying him an exorbitant amount.
Okay. So now it's to me like they have to hit on the right deals and make sure it works because they also, like defensively, I believe Jesse Bates and Von Bell are both free agents.
Yeah, Jesse Bates is a big guy. Von Bell is also really good, but you want to. Jesse Bates is the ball hawk of the defense. He made so many key plays on that playoff run last year.
Yeah. So I know they drafted like Dax Hill early in the draft, but we'll see how that kind of fits in. But then we can go on to the other game, which is my question for you. So they lost the NFC Championship game, but Brock Purdy was hurt. So what's the quarterback battle? What's the quarterback situation next year?
I don't know. I'm stumped. Now, they're not bringing back Jimmy. Jimmy is gone. I guarantee you Jimmy is gone. Jimmy is going somewhere. Now, it may be the Raiders because people forget Josh McDaniels has a tie to him as well because he was a backup on the Patriots. So, I would say he's the leader to go to the Raiders, especially after the Brady retirement.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would just have an old school QB tryout basically, and throughout the entirety of OTAs. Well, the thing is, you can't do that for the entirety because Brock Purdy's out for 6 to 8 months or whatever it is.
That does add another wrinkle to. Like, who do you do? Because like if Brock Purdy didn't play well, then I'm like, okay, quarterback battle. But if he played well and they won, I'm like, I think you kind of go Purdy. But he was injured, so I'm like, I don't know which way you go, and I don't know which
QB battle is the only way I see that's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'll talk about this more when we go over the Brady situation, but injuries kill the Niners a lot, and there's been a lot of key injuries the past couple of years that have prevented them from winning a ring, even though they've been to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC Championship games recently. Like, they are I can't say they're the best team in the NFC over that time because you haven't won a Super Bowl, so it doesn't really matter. But man, they've had some good teams, and I'm surprised the Niners have not had some hardware to show for it. But if look, if I was John Lynch, I would call Tom Brady and beg him, and just have both of the guys sit behind him for a year and just nurse their injuries, get back to 100%. Because the last thing you want is Brock Purdy to rush back and then mess up his arm forever. Because as someone who's dealt with elbow injuries before, if you let them pester and you continue to play through injury, eventually you just won't be able to feel your arm. Or UCL is a major, major throwing mechanic injury. Now, luckily, he doesn't have to get Tommy John surgery, which is replacing it. They're just trying to put it back together. So he didn't have to get Tommy John. So he's not out 9 to 12. He's out 6 to 8. But if he's not out until he's 100%, and if I'm his agent, I'm telling you, do not go back if you're 99%. Go back only if you're 100%. Because if you don't, it could be career altering. Even more than Trey Lance's ankle or anything else. Ligament injuries are the ones that end careers. It's never bone. You can break a bone and be fine. You're not going to lose too much muscle mass. You're not going to be out forever. And yes, breaking an ankle hurts. But Trey Lance right now has the upper hand on Purdy just by the fact that he has seen, he's learned, and his injury is not as severe. So if I was John Lynch, I would beg Brady to come back home to where he's been from and sign a player who doesn't get hurt. He's been hurt one time in his entire career. One entire 23-year career. The only other games he's missed are coming in for Drew Bledsoe when he wasn't the starter and then getting suspended for no reason when it wasn't even his fault. So that's what I would do. But I don't know. I don't know what the 49ers do at quarterback because if I'm even John Lynch, I'd say Purdy get 100% because I want a fair QB battle. And again, if he gets hurt, that's an injury that if you hurt twice, you're probably done because it's way too important. I know UCL injuries for NFL players are people that only watch the NFL or at least don't watch the MLB. They don't understand how bad a UCL injuries is. People who get Tommy John, I know he didn't get Tommy John, but he still did the same thing that you could get Tommy John. They just said that it could heal on its own. But I've seen pictures, and I know this is baseball, but it's the closest resemblance I can get because UCL tears do rarely happen in the NFL. But I've seen pitchers go from one of the best in the league, to out of the league within years, like 2 or 3 years. And you cannot mess with this injury. I'm a big play through injury guy. I'm a big be tough. But this is the difference between him getting a rookie deal and him getting a max contract later in his career because he's actually this good. So, you go.
Yeah, I agree. I think you make a lot of solid points. My thing is, I'm just not sure if how Brady and Shanahan would mesh, because Shanahan would have to change his system, in my opinion, and I don't know if Brady wants to do that. And I
don't think he'll have to change it enough for Brady to not take the deal. And I feel like Brady would see, hey, this team has made so many Super Bowls. They've made 2 straight NFC Championship games. What's the big reason? Oh, their quarterback gets hurt. That's why. That's the problem. They don't have either Jimmy G last year, even though he didn't start the whole year, and this year, we obviously was the only reason he got brought in because of an injury to Trey Lance. If they have a Brady that doesn't get hurt, is consistent, is going to put in the hours, I don't see why not. Unless Brady is actually done and he wants to be done. And if he wants to be done, I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with Brady saying, no, I'd love to come back, but I'm done. I've lost respect for players that retire. But I have an inkling that returning back to his boyhood team would light a fire. I think it would, but that's just me. And I don't know if John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan is going to go that direction. But I do think that's the only answer is getting an actual elite QB that doesn't get hurt, that knows how to throw the ball away if needed, who doesn't take sacks because he throws the ball away fast. And there's a good old line there and the best defense in the league.
So that could happen. But I think the more realistic thing is, even though Jimmy G might leave, I think they do their best to bring Jimmy G, give him another 1 more year deal, and go, hey, you could win. And then
I don't
these
think
guys
so.
aren't ready, we're going to start you. And it's just
I
1
don't-
year deal
I don't
because they
think
have
so.
the money to spend. on
Shanahan
quarterback.
in the post-game press conference said that he sees no scenario where Jimmy returns. Kyle Shanahan said that in the post-game conference.
And then what you're talking about with Purdy, I'm not sure. Like, they said they're going to try to heal, which, like, I think if we're going back to making your baseball comp, Glasnow was like, hey, I'm going to let it try to heal. That didn't work, so he ended up getting Tommy John. So Tommy John could still happen to Purdy, which just delays his.
Yes. And I'd say there's about a 30% chance Purdy does not play next year because of injuries. I'd say there's about a 35% chance he comes back and loses his job, and a 35% chance he comes back and wins the job.
Yeah.
But there's a solid probability that he just does not play because of injury.
Yeah. Or the Niners could try to repeat some success, not like to the success of Purdy, but draft a quarterback.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That would look so bad. Just optically, that looks horrible. Now, maybe you draft a guy in the 7th or 6th round.
I would
and
say
just
like
draft
in
the
the
next Brady, I guess. But
in the
you
5th or
can't-
like 6th round, go for a guy that had like great talent around him, and that would be Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett. Oh boy. Oh boy. I
You're
don't
the
like.
second person to not like my Stetson Bennett. I think Stetson Bennett can be a good. I think he does get drafted. I don't think he's gonna be like the next best
Stetson
quarterback.
Bennett wasn't the reason why they won, though. He
Yeah, I
wasn't even a
agree.
major part. If
I
they
know.
ran the ball every play, they still won a national championship.
I think he's
Probably.
a solid.
Well, they
backup.
still should have lost to Ohio State. I'm not going to go past that, but
I won Ohio State's one, but I just think it would be a hard jump, but I think like he'll end up being a backup and around the league for a little bit.
I mean that's
But-
what a lot of people thought about Brady. Like you go back to the Drew Bledsoe interview when they were talking about Brady, he's like, I thought he was going to be a 10, 11 year backup after he was like talking to him and learning. I just don't know if Stetson Bennett has that fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I think to me,
The difference
like,
between Brady is the want. It's the I'm going to. It's the I'm not chasing Montana. I'm chasing Jordan.
yeah,
And I will say this right now because it's on topic. Jordan retired 3 times. Tried to go play baseball. Retired after the end of his second three-peat, and then retired after his 2-year Wizards stint. So if he's chasing Brady, maybe he comes. I mean, if he's chasing Jordan, maybe Brady comes out one more time and then retires again. I don't think that's going to happen, but
yeah. I also think like with Brady, he kind of evolved and he like continued to evolve. And
that's because of his drive. That's a
well,
big
yeah, he
reason.
had a great drive. And then
That's the
they
problem.
just kept-
Again, I'm going to go to NBA, but this is the clearest example I can get where there's no confusion. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is the same exact player he's been since he came out of the draft. Nothing has changed. He's a great passer, great defender, off ball or on ball defense. And he's a good finisher when he decides to finish. He can make those. He can't make a free throw. He can't make a jump shot. And it's because he doesn't want to get better. It's not because he is incapable. It's because he's scared. And people don't realize that you need to be uncomfortable to grow. And he doesn't want to grow. Brady realized that to stay in the league, he can't just be a game manager like he was his first 3 Super Bowl runs. And even to 2006, then he realized, no, I have to let it loose. And they picked up Randy Moss after he had some terrible years, and then he put up 50 touchdowns, which was the most at the time. And Randy Moss went off, and it all gelled. But you're right, he evolved, and it's that want. That's the whole reason why Burrow is compared to Brady. Because that's the same thing that Brady would have said. If you asked Brady, how long is your championship window? Brady would have said, oh, every year I'm in the league. Yeah, my entire career. That's just such a Brady answer. And you don't just, it's really hard to just stumble on a guy that says, I'm going to be the greatest, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And they put in the work. Like, hey, I'm going to be in the NFL and win the Super Bowl. And then, like, they don't put in the work. Like, you have to put in the work. So that's why I think. And, like, there's a constant adjustment. Like, we saw it with the Chiefs last year. They adjusted to their offense. Mahomes had to adjust and grow. And people have been talking about how Burrow's gotten quicker. Like, it's a part of the game where when a team adjusts to you, you have to combat the adjustment and learn something new, which I think the greats do. And perfect example is Brady Howard just continued to change and get better. So that, and then, that's a great segue into Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts made incredible. He got much better. I saw he's gotten better with completion percentage.
Mm-hmm. And having
And
one of the best O-lines I've ever
yeah,
seen helps.
and like a better wide receiving core. But I think he did get better. He's become a better passer, and he does have better weapons. And the thing I didn't know about that O line, Jordan Mailata, I didn't know he was a 7th round pick, and he had never played
Football
football.
before. Yep, he was a
He
rugby
was a
player.
rugby player.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, wow. And
I remember
so
when he
I
got
think,
drafted because I sometimes watch like the later rounds and they talked about him being a rugby guy and all the highlights they show after someone gets drafted, they were all rugby highlights, which I found really funny.
yeah, I was like, what? And then Jason Kelsey was like a late round pick, I think, too. And it's just like I think if we also want to go, they're like Coach of the Year Nick Sirianni. I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that because he got a great roster. I would give Executive the Year to Howie Roseman.
Yeah, Coach of the Year should be Brian DeBall. I don't think people
I
understand
agree.
how horrible people thought the Giants were going to be.
And like, what did they do in the offseason?
It either needs to be Brian DeBall or Pete Carroll.
Oh, that's
Everyone
true.
thought the Seahawks were going to be horrible, and both of those teams made the playoffs. If it is not one of those two, I'm disappointed because the Eagles were supposed to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year. I thought they were going to make the playoffs. A lot of people thought they were going to make the playoffs, but nobody
I had
thought they were
one
going to
in
be
the
a one
division.
seed. Yeah, you had a win in the division. I had the Cowboys win the division.
Yeah.
Well, that shows me never trust the Cowboys. But the difference between like DeBall and Pete Carroll, both of those teams were supposed to win 2-3 games, maybe 4. While Sirianni was supposed to win 10.
Yeah.
So,
And what did the Eagles do in the offseason? Trade for AJ Brown. Trade for CJ Gardner.
I
There
don't
was
think
another.
was that in the offseason?
I remember it was during the draft when they traded for AJ Brown, and then they signed him to an extension.
No.
Then
I'm talking about for the CJ Gardner Johnson. I thought that was
near
I thought that was
near
like week
maybe it
1.
was training camp.
Oh, okay. I just knew
It was
it wasn't.
it was a late addition,
Yeah, I
but
knew CJ Gardner Johnson was late.
to me it was like they made improvements to this roster, and so that's why I think it goes to Roseman, who he's a heck of a great GM, which I hate to say because he's the Eagles. And Nick
Who?
Sirianni is a good coach, but like your expectations, I think plays into Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So, and the next player on my top 3, I believe 2 is Hassan Reddick.
You already said 2. I thought
Oh,
2
okay, I
was
may have put Mahomes at
Marcus
2.
Valdez-Scantling. MVS.
Then I'll put Hassan Reddick at 3.
3 was your the Chiefs
No,
defense.
Chiefs defense was number 1.
Oh, okay.
And
Hassan
then
Reddick
I'll
at
put
3.
Mahomes at 2, and then I'll put Hassan Reddick at 3.
I just put the Eagles. I didn't know who to put
That's
for
good.
my 1, but injuries, everything that's happened, I couldn't really differentiate who was the reason. So it was just a great team win, injuries definitely helped him out, but you can't decide that. And it is what it is.
Yeah, so I don't think we have too much with that game. But yeah, so excited for the Super Bowl / Kelsey Bowl. But on to Tom Brady. I was not expecting. Like, I woke up and I saw like a text from you, and then I got a text from my brother with the video, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just was not expecting him to retire because I just thought like he retired last year, and then I was
And
like,
so, yeah,
maybe he's
so
gonna
much
come
has
back.
changed. So much has changed.
Yeah, and we don't have to go too much into it. I'm pretty sure everyone knows the off the field concerns. So I'm like, I thought he'd keep playing, but maybe. And he seemed pretty emotional about it. Did he have a press conference last year?
No. Did you have a press conference? Wait. Press
Or
conference? Well, what did,
or I'm not saying press conference. There wasn't a video last year. I think it
no,
was
there
like a
wasn't a
tweet,
video.
right?
No, it was a tweet, a Instagram post, but here there was a video. It seemed heartfelt. However, I do think sometimes he makes split decisions, and it could be part of the bigger ploy to like see who actually really wants him. Hey, if I retire and some team really, really wants me. The last year Brady had, if he would have retired after last season, after having almost basically an MVP year at 44, if he retired after that, it'd have been a lot better look. And there's definitely teams that want him. He can still play. But again, if you want to retire, I'm all for seeing you retire. Now, I may be sad. I may be a little bit confused, but I'm never going to be mad at the person because it's their decision. And if you want to retire, if you're had too much, look, you played in this league so long and given us so many memories. Like, I'm fine with it. Now, I hope he comes back. I don't think he will. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I also think he has a pretty nice gig lined up for him, which is the Fox thing, which I'm kind of a little sad about because I like Greg Olson as like the lead analyst.
Olson's okay.
I really like him. I was like, man,
Olson's good when there's a tight end on the other team or one of the teams that he like bonds with well. But if it's just a normal game, it's kind of he talks about the tight end a lot.
well, yeah,
I,
and like he'll make some like great like he'll sum up a play really well and why it went wrong, and if not, and then he will
but Brady's seen so much, so there's no way he's probably better than Romo at saying what the play is, especially if
It
it's a
seems like
Josh
people.
McDaniels team.
It
Like
seems like people have turned
watching a
on
Raiders
Romo.
game, he's probably like, "This is the formation. This is
Yeah,
the play."
I threw 4 touchdowns too.
Yeah, I would have thrown this, and I probably would have completed it.
Yeah, so I'm curious what happens there because like Olson, I think had talked about like it kind of feels weird for me because like I know what's happening once he retires, but it will be interesting to see how he transitions into broadcasting, and I don't think he takes over the Super Bowl. I think he does make an appearance during like the pregame show or postgame because Gronk's on that too.
Oh, I would love to see Brady and Gronk.
Which
That would
so
be
yeah,
amazing.
it'll be interesting, and Gronk's kicking a field goal.
That is true.
So I believe that's all we got. We'll do more previews and stuff for the Super Bowl next week, and then we might talk about the Pro Bowl. Depends on if we. I'm gonna turn it on. We'll see how long I stay. Any other thoughts, Austin?
Nope, I'm excited.
And that's all we got for you. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.